Thank you. Well, I don't want it to be recorded yesterday because I was disclosing some facts too. So, okay, thank you for coming back. I fully understand that you didn't want to come back today after yesterday. But yesterday we examined the real life tragic story of Dr. Priyanka, and we tried to understand what exactly is punishment in a legal context. We tried to find the example of your school to find out some of the common features of punishment yesterday. So we found out what were the common wrongs you usually commit, not you, friends of yours, and what are the common punishments. And then we tried to find out what is punishment, five features of punishment. We found that the punishment is a bad thing, an undesirable consequence on the person who is punished. Nobody likes punishment. So that was the first point we made yesterday. Secondly, we found that the punishment must come from an appropriate authority, not from anyone else. Third, we understood that punishment must have a direct and relevant cause, that there must be a good reason for punishment. Fourthly, we found that punishment must be proportionate to the wrong which is committed. There should be some sense of balance between the wrong committed and the punishment imposed. And finally, we found some of you identified that a due process, a proper investigation has to be followed before a punishment can be imposed. One cannot act on the whims and suspicions. There should be a clear case of evidence before you do that. So these are the 5 points which we found based on the wrongs and punishments we do it at school, and these are the features we found. Now today we will try to find out, why do we punish? What is punishment we know now, but now we want to find out, why do we punish in the first place? Okay, so I recall the example of the school, the usual wrongs and punishment. Think about a major wrong committed in school by a student against another student, and think, why would you want a punishment for that wrong? Try to imagine yourself in a few roles: teacher, as a victim, as a friend of a victim, and also as a wrongdoer. Based on that, let me hear your thoughts on why we should punish. Why? What are the
Sir,
Okay, you want to try the chat first and then we move on, or Ritesh, you can actually speak up.
actually I'm on mobile right now, and my laptop is getting hangs.
No worries, you can speak up. You're very clear actually. You should use mobile more often then.
Okay.
So
Sir,
why?
I thought that as punishment is an undesirable consequence,
Yes.
the person won't repeat his actions again because he doesn't want that. He doesn't want anything, that undesirable consequence again.
So you are saying that to teach him a lesson, or to remind him of the, I mean, because to prevent that person from doing again, or to stop that person from considering committing a crime. So, Ritesh, let's put it this way: if you were punished, what happens to you? You will not repeat it because of the punishment.
Yeah, I mean, when I get a punishment, I'll be that nervous. So with the nervousness, I won't repeat it again.
Okay, so Sriyesh made the same point. Make sure that we won't repeat the mistake. That's why we punish. So Mega takes a bit more philosophical position, saying that so that the doer understands what he did was wrong, to convince that that was wrong, so you punish. Um, Anybody else? He should. Okay. Now Avinash says he should get the damage back if he did so. Basically, he's saying that there should be compensation, right, Avinash? You should
Yes,
compensate. Yeah, you should compensate for what you have done. Yes. Any other reason why you think people punish, or society or the police or system or school punishes a wrongdoer?
to make
Avinash?
to make him a good person. To make him a good person.
To change him, to change a bad person to a good person, right? Avinash?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What else? Why else would somebody punish? Avinash says to change that person, to reform that person. Um, Sriyesh says not to make the person repeat the offense again, to stop the person from repeating the offense again. Mega says so that he understands what has been committed. I mean, Mega, why would somebody wants to understand? Why would you want somebody to understand that he has done a wrong so that he doesn't repeat the wrong? Mega, speak up. Okay, I think she's trying to. Mega, Vinayak, you are still coming on video, is it?
No, not yet.
Okay, not yet. But do you have an opinion on this? Why would you punish a wrongdoer?
Because if they keep on doing that, society will be hurted on a large.
Yeah, so to prevent or to help the society, to save the society from further crimes. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Rishikesh, you want to contribute something to it?
No, sir. Yes.
Say again?
Nothing else.
Nothing else. Okay. So, very interesting answers. Actually, these are what great philosophers of our time have spoken about. You know, they were all trying to find out why we punish, the purpose, the objective of punishment. And some of the answers you have given are exactly what they found after years of research. So now let us look at some of the points you have mentioned and some of the points I wish to add to that about the purpose of punishment. First, when you do something wrong, it causes pain, suffering to another person or persons or to the society at large. The same point which somebody mentioned just now, that when you do something wrong, it causes pain to other people. That can't be right. You can't cause pain to somebody. So the wrongdoer uh, deserves a punishment. He deserves a punishment because he caused pain to the society. Let me repeat. Let me rephrase the whole thing. When I do a wrong, I make someone else suffer pain. Right? Straightforward, right? Yeah, you hurt somebody, you destroy somebody's property. That's what you do. That cannot be right. So I morally or I deserve punishment. The punishment is a matter of justice, the right thing to do against the wrongdoer. It's justice. You know, you do something wrong, you get punished. If the wrongdoer is not punished, justice is not done, and the whole idea of law is undermined. So therefore, we punish. Um, Based on this thought, some of the philosophers argue that the purpose of punishment, the objective of punishment, the aim of punishment is to inflict pain on the wrongdoer, to make the wrongdoer suffer for what he has done, because he has committed a wrong which hurt others. You cause pain, you deserve pain. Simple as that. Yeah? This argument embodies the idea of retaliation, of revenge, of retribution. And this is what philosophers essentially call the retributive theory of justice. Just a name, don't worry about it. What you said, you understood what I'm saying, right? You cause pain, you deserve pain. Therefore, you are punished. So the fancy name for that is theory of retributive justice. Where does that name come from? Retribution means revenge. Pain in retaliation of pain. You get hurt, for causing hurt, the other person get hurt as well. So that is the balance, that is the revenge aspect of it, hence it's called retributive justice. Let's for a moment assume that someone beats you or your loved ones up very badly, that in that case, what will be your reaction? How will you respond? Chucky,
Yes, sir.
how will you respond if somebody beats up Mr. Sadish badly?
I will go to the police and I will case it.
Okay, if the police is not aware, say if police is not doing anything, you go to the police and say, you are a small kid, we don't care. What will you do then?
And I will beat him. I will beat him.
You will take onto yourself and beat him up. Don't try that, but there will be police acting, but still that is what you do, right? So undeniably the point is there is an urge for revenge in us when we get beaten. I mean, not beaten really, but if we get hurt or our loved ones hurt. Chucky's father is Sadish is Chucky's father, so she feels it strongly. Yeah. So what then? There is an urge for revenge, varying degrees, but some sense of retaliation or retribution in us. If everyone, but if everyone is allowed to take revenge on their own, first there would be total lawlessness, total chaos, right? Everybody beats each other. Yeah. Second, some may not be able to take revenge. They may be just weak or powerless. Yeah, Chucky, you don't really expect to beat the person who is strong enough to beat Mr. Sadish. Tough, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what happens is you may be weak or powerless, leaving you very frustrated and very angry, and you feel there is no justice given, right?
Yes.
Yes. So, and there is another reason. If it's left to victims, say I'm beaten up, it may not be. My revenge may not be proportionate. So there are so many cases of a small fight leading up to deaths because people get provoked very fast. Maybe somebody tries to hurt me in a small way, then I get really angry, and when I take revenge, that may be not disproportionate to what was inflicted on me. I don't care. I just want to beat that person. Sometimes I want to kill the person because I'm so hurt and angry and frustrated. So for these reasons, first there will be total lawlessness if everybody does the revenge on their own. Second, some may not be able to take revenge because they are weak, powerless, leaving them very frustrated. And third, the revenge, if left to the victims, may not be fair and proportionate. They may just go overboard. So for these reasons, we can't leave revenge open to everyone. So we need a societal system, a system that in a way satisfies the personal desire for vengeance. So Chucky, if the police says, yeah, we are going to take offense, they are going to file a case, then book the person who has committed the crime, then Chucky, you are a little more happier. You feel there is a bit of justice. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So the revenge has to be more structured. It has to have a procedure. Has to be more effective, and no complication of personal emotions should be there. And that is what punishment is for, to retaliate, but in a controlled manner. I just spoke about revenge, right? The theory of retribution is about revenge, but not the revenge anybody can take. It is a controlled revenge. You retaliate, you do the revenge, but in a controlled way. That is what this theory is all about, the theory of retribution. Very simple. You look at it, there is an element of simplicity to it. You do a wrong, that makes someone else suffer. That is not the right thing to do. Therefore, you should be punished. Done. Nothing more, nothing less. The idea of retribution is based on the concept of lex talionis. Don't worry about the names, the law of retaliation is the oldest theory of punishment. This is how people thought about punishment from olden days. It goes back to the code of Hammurabi. I'm sure some of you might have heard it. Hammurabi, the Babylonian code of law of ancient Mesopotamia. Another one, if you are good in your history, 1700 BC. I'll show you the picture if I can. Yes, this is the Hammurabi pictured of Hammurabi code. At least some might have heard of the classic expression of lex talionis, eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. It's also in the Bible. If you have read some parts of it in the Old Testament of Bible, if a man destroyed the eye of another man, they shall destroy his eye. If one break a man's bone, they shall break his bone. That's what I was trying to say, right? But the critics, now the critics of this theory, the main arguments against this theory is that it is backward looking. It concentrates on a crime that is already done. It's already done, and we are still concentrating on that past event. These theorists ask the society to concentrate their energy and resources on something that has already happened. That's what the people who are against this theory of punishment says. Critics of this theory argue that the punishment should be forward-looking, not backward-looking. They should not be concentrating on the crimes which are already committed. Instead, the purpose of punishment has to benefit the society in the future, not the past one, dwell on the past, maybe by stopping further crimes, by protecting the society. So that's what they argue against this one. Another argument against this theory is that we grow civilized as a society. We should outgrow the desire for revenge. We should be a better people. Yeah? And as a civilized society, we must understand that the revenge does not resolve any of the underlying issues that might have led to the wrong in the first place. Understood? Okay, let's take a quick recap of what I tried to say. One, when you talk about retributive theory, retribution means revenge, these are the features. A wrong causes pain to the victim. That is not right. So the wrongdoers morally deserve a punishment. Now, the purpose of punishment according to these people is to inflict pain on the wrongdoer. This idea embodies or the idea of retaliation, of retribution, of revenge. That's what it does. And if we do not have a societal system that satisfies the personal desire for vengeance, of revenge, people may take law into their own hands, and that could lead to lawlessness. Right, Chucky? We found out that, right? It is backward looking. Those are the arguments against it. It's backward looking. It concentrates on the past, on a crime which is already committed. As we grow civilized as a society, we should be able to outgrow the desire for revenge. So these are the points which I tried to talk about just now. Now I want somebody to tell me, to rephrase this retributive theory. Anyone wants to volunteer? I just said this, right? So you can put it in any number of words, less, more, doesn't matter. Just try to explain the whole thing so that I understand that you understood. Anybody wants to volunteer? It's also an exercise in English, listening comprehension. So you heard it, now you are understanding it and trying to rephrase it. Who wants to volunteer? Avinash, try.
So I just get out from the class because of some network issues. I will monitor the next one because I didn't heard all of it.
Okay, so next one, don't get out, stay put. Okay, now who else was there? Sriyesh, You want to try and rephrase what I just mentioned about retributive theory of punishment in your own words, in any language you prefer, as long as it's English. No, Malayalam can do as well. Sriyesh? Rishikesh? You want to say something about this? All right. So, Mega, did you understand what I tried to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let us try to say, rephrase it, Mega. So what is exactly this theory of retribution?
The retributive theory is a theory of punishment that when a person breaks the law, they need to get a punishment that is equivalent to the crime that they did.
Are you happy with that theory? Is that okay? Do you think that is a good theory?
I guess. Yeah.
Does it make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay, now let's move on to the next theory. This one is called, okay, this is called a deterrent theory. Some of you actually explained this to us. Some of the philosophers say that there are only two things in life. Do you know what are the two things in life? Avinash, what are the two things in life that you are
That
so sure?
not sir, not like that. That someone coming and killing us, right? That's
Okay,
it. Yes.
that was a tough question. Now, how do you know what I was planning to ask you? Anyway, some philosophers says there are only two things in life. One is pleasure, happiness, and two is unhappiness, which is pain. Every single thing you do or suffer can be classified as things which gives you pleasure, like and pain. Like you eating an latest flavor of ice cream is pleasure, and you attending this class is probably pain. Yeah. So that is how they classify. Chucky, what do you think? Cadbury's is Oreo is pleasure?
Can you repeat it?
Eating an Cadbury's Oreo red velvet, do you think it's a pleasure or
Of
pain?
course.
Ah, it's pleasure. Okay, Rishikesh, tell me what pains you and what gives you pleasure. Come on, that can't be difficult. Unmute.
Getting less marks in exam, and can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yeah, we can.
Less getting less marks in exam, and beaten by anyone.
So one is pain and the other is pleasure.
Pain.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
no, no.
Okay,
These two are pain.
Okay. What is pleasure?
So many things are pleasure.
Yeah, give me one pleasure.
Sleeping.
What is that?
Sleeping.
Yeah, excellent. So, well, I just want to go further on that, but this is how some of the philosophers classify things in life: pleasure and pain. We human beings like pleasure, happiness. Obviously, we do like pleasure and happiness. We dislike pain and unhappiness, right? Punishment, as we know from the definition, remember, undesirable consequence. It's a pain, it's a suffering, hardship. So, based on that logic that you don't like pleasure, pain, and you do like pleasure, since punishment is pain, we do not like punishment. Yeah, that's the theory they built upon. Let me repeat, there are only two things in life: pleasure and pain. We like pleasure, we dislike pain. Punishment is pain. Therefore, we do not like punishment. just an argument. I try to simplify a bit more complex argument. So extending that logic, if we experience punishment or see or hear about or know about punishment, we will be discouraged from doing or repeating a wrong. Although I said it in so many words, you have actually said all these things in fewer words. You said, why do you punish? Because you don't want that person to repeat the offense. So that's what they're saying. So if we experience punishment or see or hear or know about punishment, we will be discouraged from doing or repeating a wrong. Yeah, because we dislike punishment because it's pain. And this is the essence of what the new theory called deterrence theory. They argue that we should punish because punishment will instill fear in potential offenders, because we don't like punishment. So there is a bit of a fear. So this fear of punishment will discourage, deterrence means discouragement, deter means discourage. So the fear of punishment will discourage people from committing wrongs. Think of a punishment when you do something wrong. It's not just the punishment, the whole process of is deterring. The investigation, the arrest, collection of evidence, exposure to public via media, the production before the court, the trial process, all of which can be quite long and intimidating and painful. Don't you see some of the news reports where people try to hide themselves when the newspaper reports are showing them being arrested and taken to one place to other? All this and the eventual punishment are likely to discourage people from committing the crime. Now, there are two types of deterrence. You can discourage people from committing the crime in two ways. First, when the punishment is imposed on you, for the wrong you have already committed, you will be discouraged from repeating the wrong. Why? Because you know the pain of punishment. This type of punishment is called specific deterrence, specific discouragement. A discouragement to a specific person through punishment. You suffer, you are discouraged. Secondly, when rationally thinking people, sensible people, see or know of a punishment imposed on somebody else, even then they will be discouraged from doing that wrong. They're sensible. They don't want to suffer themselves to be discouraged. The mere knowing about a punishment would deter them, discourage them. That is called general deterrence. Don't bother about these definitions, but I just want to explain the thing to you a bit more. So a discouragement to the general public through punishment is the general deterrence. So let me show you this example. You see the screen, right? Yeah, and look at the cane, and it can be very, very painful. Yeah, so when you suffer that kind of caning, it will definitely discourage you from doing it again. Sure, right? In schools, last time they used to cane, and definitely it discourages a lot of people, not all of us, from doing it again. Sensible people may not want to suffer it themselves. They can see this and then they immediately think of what happens to them when a similar offense is done by them. They will get the same punishment, so they don't want to do it again. So they will be discouraged as well. Yeah. So, but you must understand that for deterrence to work, there must be some conducive situations. Let me give you some examples. Okay. If you are an ordinarily rich person, say you have money, 70 lakh crore rupees in your bank, not 1,000 crores, no, 70 lakh crore rupees, and you earn about 30 crore rupees every day. And then he was driving fast one day, and then he is fined. Do you know how much is the fine for driving fast over the limit?
200 rupees.
400, yes. So, and then, okay, that's the first instance. You have 30 crore rupees revenue on a daily basis. You get that kind of money, and then you are fined 400 rupees for speeding. Do you think that it works? Do you really care? If you earn that kind of money, do you really care?
No, sir.
No, sir. So the point I'm trying to make is that the punishment should be severe. For the theory of deterrence, that discouragement to work, the punishment should be severe so that you feel it. So, but instead of that 30 crore person, you earn only 500 rupees a day, yeah, or less than that, and then you get fined 400 rupees. Then you will know. Then you are definitely discouraged. You work for 8 hours to get that money, or 10 hours to get that money, and then you lose that money because you are speeding. So the chances of you getting discouraged by that kind of fine is very high. So the point I'm trying to make is that if the punishment is severe enough, then it's a discouragement. It's more of a discouragement than otherwise. Yeah. There should also be a situation where say you are a politician, yeah, and you know how the legal and judicial systems work. In some countries, I won't comment on India, but some countries, these systems are extremely slow. So even if you commit a wrong today, it may take ages before you will be punished, if at all. Sometimes it may not even happen in his lifetime. After his death, the case will be dropped. I mean, talking about civil cases. Criminal cases, don't try that. You are likely to be punished soon. Yeah. So the next point I want to make, if there is no certainty of punishment, this theory is not going to work. If you're not sure that you are going to be punished, so who is going to be discouraged? Nobody is going to be discouraged. So to be discouraged, to work for this theory of deterrence to work, two things are very important. One is that there should be severity of punishment, and second, there should be certainty of punishment. So take note of that as well. Okay. Now, not all people think that this theory is great. Some say that this is not going to have any impact on hardcore criminals. If you're a hardcore criminal, you can inflict any amount of pain on them. You can beat them up like nobody's business, but they still don't care. That's why we see some people go back to jail very often. They do a wrong, they get jailed, and then they repeat the wrong as soon as they come out and go back again. This theory may also not work, may not apply to crimes committed in the heat of emotions, crimes committed under the influence of drugs. Because those offenders are not going to think rationally. They are not going to think about the consequences of the crime. They are under an addiction, influence of drugs, or just very angry, Chucky, will you get that angry that you will forget about the consequences and go and beat them up?
Yes, sir.
You will?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. So this discouragement may not work for you, This theory may not work for you in that case. Okay, I will tell you which theory works for you. The next one. But despite all these flaws, this theory is forward-looking. What it is trying to do is to prevent wrongs in the future. By discouraging you from committing crimes, you are trying to prevent wrongs in the future. So just to give you a quick overview of what I just mentioned, here it is. Fear of punishment. This is the basis of the theory. Fear of punishment will discourage people from committing wrongs because punishment is pain and people dislike pain. Punishment should therefore aim to instill fear in potential offenders. That's what this theory, people who proposes this theory say. Then I said, there are two types of deterrence. One is when there is a discouragement to the person individually, and to the people generally, then it's general deterrence. And we also found out no impact on hardcore criminals. Chucky, you bracketed yourself in that, hardcore criminals, there is no impact. They can't be discouraged. Crimes committed in the heat of emotions. Yeah, that's what Chucky was saying, not the hardcore one. Yeah, in the heat of emotions and the crimes committed under the influence of drugs, you can't discourage that by having a consequence. And the good thing about this theory, as I mentioned, is that it is forward-looking. It thinks about how to prevent wrongs in the future. Yeah. Okay, now let me try to give you another example. Okay, here is a question. Think about a traffic fine for overspeeding. Rupees 400 per offense. We found out, right, last time. In India, like many countries, the fine is the same for everyone. Everyone gets the same fine. Be it Virat Kohli or a taxi driver who earns a meager daily wage. We know that 400 rupees is not going to make Kohli go any slow. It's not at all a detriment to him. No discouragement. You know why? He earns about 252 crores a year, which is more than 20 crores a month. So no, he is not going to go slow for 400 rupees. But there are other reasons why he would want to go slow. Now, the question is this: is that fair? Is that fair that a person earning 500 rupees and the person earning 20 crore rupees are fined the same thing? Yes or no? Quite easy, right?
No.
Avinash? Ritesh thinks no. Why is it not? It's not fair, Ritesh?
So it's not even a matter to the person who earns 20 crore rupees a month, while the taxi driver is going to be like, he hardly survives on his daily wage.
So are you saying that if the taxi driver do something, he should not be punished?
No, but comparatively, he can be given less punishment as he's earning less than the person who is earning 20.
But then if the taxi driver is fined 10 rupees, will he stop from doing the same thing again? No impact.
But that doesn't mean that the person is charged like 100 rupees and he earns like 20 crore rupees a month.
Okay, so you see a very distinct unfairness in it. How do you deal with it? Do you do that by reducing the fine on the other person or by increasing the fine on Virat Kohli?
Increasing the fine.
You like that, right? The idea of
Increasing the fine.
increasing the fine. Okay, I'll give you an example. I'm going a slightly faster, but Finland, you know that Finland country, right? Try to deal with this way. Uh, you know, this is not really an original idea. Some of the other countries also have done that before. They calculate fines based not just on the offense, but also on the offender's income, salary, and ability to pay. They call it a day fine, just a name for it. So in 2002, a Finnish executive at Nokia was issued a traffic fine for driving at a speed of 75 km an hour in a 50 km per hour zone. So you are supposed to go a maximum of 50 kilometers an hour. He went 75 kilometers an hour. Finland imposed a day fine because based on his annual income. Can you guess how much did Finland impose? Based on your Ritish's and Avinash's theory of increasing fine for people who earns more, just give a figure. How much did they impose? 10 rupees, 20, 100, 500, 10,000? Just a number. Ritish,
I'm not sure because I don't.
just guess a number. That can't be easier, right?
Okay, I'll guess just 1 rupee.
No. Okay, well, I won't. Finland imposed, based on his income, 1 crore rupees, Indian rupees, as a traffic offense fine. Similar, because you are saying that, you know, instead of reducing the fine, you should increase the fine on people who have more income. So similarly, there is another case in which a Finnish businessman in Finland was required to pay 45 lakh rupees instead of, I mean, their fine is standard 18,000 rupees. That's the normal fine in Finland instead of 400 rupees. So he was required to pay 45 lakh rupees because of based on their annual income. Yeah, so that is the way sometimes people try to make it more fair. Not only fair, but also to stop people from committing the offenses. So by fining them heavily, depending on what will make them feel a pain, sometimes they increases the fine. In India, we don't have that culture of doing it. We don't. The legal system says 400 fine for offense. Who Mukesh Ambani can commit the same thing, and I can commit the same thing. Everybody gets the same punishment. But in countries, there is something called dynamic punishing, dynamic fining, and this is one example of that. Just for your general knowledge. Okay. Now. Another group of people, we heard that there is one theory of we heard two theories, right? One is the retributive revenge theory, second is the deterrence theory, discouragement theory. Another group of people argue that the purpose of punishment, the objective of punishment, should be to physically stop the offenders from doing further wrongs. You see, in the case of Chucky, who said discouragement is not going to work with her, because in the rage, in the anger, she is not going to think about the consequences. She said that. So how do we stop Chucky from doing that, from committing crimes? So what these people argue is that stop them physically from committing a crime. You then protect the society. If you put someone in jail, for example, it makes it physically impossible for him or her to commit further crimes against the public. Same with capital punishment. Chucky, I'm not suggesting capital punishment or death by hanging for you, but if you punish somebody with death penalty, you can prevent that offender from repeating the crime and from harming the society in the future. You prevent that person physically from doing further crimes. A dead man, of course, can do no crime. This understanding of punishment, that punishment is to physically prevent further offenses, is called the theory of preventive theory of punishment. Got it? This approach actually works very well as long as the offenders are physically stopped in some way, say they are locked up in jail. That, of course, reduces the crime rates for sure, and thus protects the society from further crimes. It also discourages the public from committing similar crimes, the fear of punishment. You know, when you see somebody is in jail, you don't want to do the same thing because you are going to go to jail. Although we hear wonderful stories of good food in the jail these days, still jail is a jail and you can't get out of it. You have to stay in the jail for too long. So nobody wants to go to jail. Jail is not a pleasant thing. So there is a deterrent effect as well in a jail. Not just the preventive aspect, that once you go to jail, you just can't do any further crime. So you are prevented physically. And then you will notice that this theory is forward looking. You know why? It does not dwell on the crime itself, which is the past. Instead, it thinks about how do we stop the person from committing future offenses, prevent wrongs in the future. So that is forward thinking. But the problem with that is this: it's awfully expensive. Think about the high cost of building and operating jails and detention centers and prisons and supporting human resources. You have jail wardens all the time. You have many other officers to run the place. You need a lot of money for that. So some people are saying that this is not a great theory. Preventive theory is not a great theory, although this is one of the most common theories now in practice. Quick recap: to physically, this theory of preventive theory tries to say that we should physically stop the offenders from doing further wrongs like jail sentence, or even in really tough cases, death sentence. The good things, the positives about this are it reduces crime rates because you are in jail, protects the society therefore, and it also has a discouraging effect. And it is a forward-looking theory, thinks about the future of the society. But the negatives, as I said, is it's very expensive, and it only works as long as you are in jail. Once you're released from the jail, you can do whatever you want to do. So it works only for a period of time, specific period of time. Another set of people says, now we went through three ideas why we should punish. The first one, anyone? Revenge. Yeah. Second one, discouragement, deterrence. third one,
Preventive.
Preventive.
yes. So the prevention. So now the fourth one, there is another one. There are many more, okay? But these are the basic ones. Some others argue that the purpose of punishment, the objective of punishment, why we should punish, should be to change the wrongdoer. You said that already, to change, to reform the wrongdoer. The punishment should be able to bring about a moral reform in the wrongdoer. That is what some of the people argue. The punishment should be aimed at helping the wrongdoer understand the crime. Megha said that, right? Understand the crime and get back to the society, restart his life, putting the wrong behind him or her. That way, the criminal is reformed, the society becomes safer, and there are less crimes in the long term. This line of thought is known as the reformative theory of punishment. Very simple, right? Change, reform the person, reformative theory. The underlying argument is very simple. Even if a person does a wrong, commits a crime, that person does not cease to be a human being. So treat him as a human being. Give him a second chance to become a normal, law-abiding member of the community again, like us. Second chance. This approach is wonderful in that it obviously concentrates on the wrongdoer, his personality. It does not look at it as retaliation, as revenge, or even discouragement. It is a sympathetic and tactful treatment of the offenders. Those who support this theory argues that even the most cruel, hardened prisoners can be reformed and converted into law-abiding individuals. They say that a person who commits a wrong does it because of the psychological factors, personality defects, social pressures, heat of the moment, as Chucky said, right? A failure to control an intense emotion out of frustration, often amplified by intoxication, having drugs or alcohol. Inability to cope with challenges the life has thrown at them. These people, the proponents of reformative theory, those who say that reformative theory should be the way forward, argue that these people who commits crime should be treated and dealt with kindness. This theory believes that through punishment we should be able to eliminate crimes and not the criminal. We eliminate crimes, we stop the crimes, but not punish the criminal. They believe that nobody is born as a criminal. It's only the consequence of the circumstances make him the crime is only the consequence of the circumstances which are surrounding him, not because he is born as a criminal. But then, on the other side, people who are not in favor of this theory says some of them are very incorrigible, unchangeable offenders who are beyond the reach of any reformative influence. You come across people, right? Sometimes you come across people who just can't be rectified. They are born criminals. So some people say for them committing wrongs is a habit. They call it habitual criminals. I'm sure you have come across that word, habitual criminals, which means that it is a habit. So you can't actually change them at all. Some of the critics also say that the primary focus of punishment cannot be the offender. You cannot concentrate on the offender. It has to be the victim. So if your loved one is killed by somebody, do you really want to concentrate the punishment, the focus of the punishment should be the person who killed, or the person who killed the other person, or the person who is the victim of the murder? Who do you want to concentrate the punishment on? A kills B, okay? A kills B. Who do you think your sympathy will be with? A or B? Ritish, unmute.
Yeah, with B.
B. But this one, now it looks like we are concentrating on A, the person who murdered. So Everybody is talking about let's change that person, let's be kind to that person, let's be patient about it. There is a bit of unfairness there, right? So people who are against this say you can't concentrate on the offender, you should be concentrating on the victim. As you said, B, you cannot roll out the red carpet to the offenders, you cannot give them the rehabilitative training and make their life easy through punishment. If you do that, it will no more be punishment. It's like a treatment. However, the reformative theory of punishment is perhaps the most appreciated theory of punishment in the modern times. Okay, now I will stop here for today, but I want you to put it in the chat. Which of the 4 theories did you like most? Pick one of the 4 theories. Don't worry about the spelling, just say whatever you want to say. I will pick it up. So the question is this: we said about 4 theories. One is what? The first one, retribution. You take revenge. Second is you discourage people. Punishment is to take revenge. Second one says punishment is to discourage people. Third one is punishment is to prevent, and the fourth one is punishment is to reform. Which one would you like as your favorite? Ritish says deterrence and retribution. Avinash says it's a mix of all of them. Megha says reform. That's very consistent with your first point, Megha. Chucky, what are you saying? I'm waiting. Which one do you like? Rishikesh say retribution and deterrence. Okay, I just want you to think about it. Maybe we can discuss it a bit more in the next class. But before we wind up, let me give you a quick recap of the reformative theory, okay? Just so that you understand what I was trying to say in the last one. The reformative theory says the punishment should be to change the wrongdoer. The objective is to help the wrongdoer to get back to the society. The logic is this: even if a person does a wrong, that person does not cease to be a human being. Treat him as a human being and give him a second chance. So prisons thus become treatment centers, counseling places, and training grounds, and comfortable dwelling places in some countries. The people who argues for this theory say when a criminal is reformed, the society becomes safer and will have lesser crimes in the long term. Even the cruel, hardened prisoners can be reformed and converted into law-abiding individuals, they argue, they say. Arguments against this theory are: 1, habitual offenders who are beyond the reach of reformative influences cannot be helped with this theory. And some people say, as Ritish said, primary focus of punishment cannot be the offender, it has to be the victim. So these are the points. This is one of the prisons in Norway, by the way. Quite nice, huh? It's better than my house, Cleaner, definitely. Even the paintings are better. Mine is very, very, very dull. See that? The color? So this is a very colorful prison. I will talk to you more about this in the next class. I will take 1 or 2 questions if you have any, and then wind up. Questions?
Sir, is the retributive theory still followed?
Yes. There is an element of, that's something which I will discuss in the next class, okay? There is an element of retribution in every single punishment. Think about a jail sentence. Think about a death sentence. When somebody is sentenced to death by hanging, see that there is an element of revenge in it, right?
Yes.
when you sentence somebody to jail, go to jail, then there is an element of revenge in it. So there is a smaller element of revenge in every single punishment you can come across. Think about amputation of hand. Somebody chops your hand off because you have committed theft in some countries. Definitely there is an element of revenge. So yes, there is an element of revenge which still sustains. Because you see, Shaki will take law into her hands if no proper punishment is given. So that element of revenge and frustration is there. So you cannot totally take away that element. So hence, a bit of it is part of it still, of the legal and the punishment system. Any more?
So, but by giving punishment, like when the person who's having the punishment get revenge.
No, but we don't. Yes, I see your point. Okay, you are saying that when you punish somebody and that person is angry and then he wants to take revenge again.
Yes, sir.
So then it becomes circular, right? Good point. But I don't think we can, if you look at consequences like that, can you actually do anything?
No, sir, we can't, because the person has to change instead of getting angry.
So we cannot go to the extent of considering all the consequences of it. Yes, some people go to jail and they become hardened criminals, because they are frustrated with the kind of punishment. Sometimes they do a small crime or they did it for some very good reason. I'm not saying that there is a good reason for committing a crime, but they may have be justification for that. I somehow I like Chucky's example. Your father is beaten up. You go to police and they do nothing. Dr. Priyanka, the sister went to the police, they did nothing. So much frustration, and they, in that heat of the anger, do something stupid by beating up or killing somebody else. And then they go to jail for 25 years or 15 years. So there's a lot of frustration and they come out very bitter. And as you said, Ritesh, they will be very angry. They would want to take revenge on the society after that. There are a number of cases like that. But then if we consider all those things, we can't actually end up punishing anybody. So I think those are exceptions which I think law sort of shrugs off and move forward.
So, but then with the revenge, he creates like a serious crime. Then again, he's gonna come back. Or will he be like, will he be given a life sentence?
Next class, we will have a real case. I will give you a real case, and then next class is simply exercise only. I will give you a real case and I will ask you to be the judge, all of you. Okay, Chucky, you can go to the class today, but come back next day and you are get ready with the being to become a judge. Okay, Mega, everybody else get ready to be a judge in the next class. For now, thank you very much.